Good
Hello,
morning. Go ahead.
fellow
Go ahead.
nutmeggers. You are on the Connecticut Common Sense podcast. I'm Selena Rifkin, one of your hosts, and I am here with Jason Douglas,
Good
our
morning.
other hosts. And it's Saturday, and we're a little behind the curve, but it's been a kind of a rough week. Um, so,
Sure has.
yeah. So,
Well, I'm a grandpa for the third time.
yay!
Uh,
Congratulations. Do we have the baby name? What is the name?
uh, yes, we have the baby's name is Nico Oliver.
Nice.
Yeah,
Very
Nico
nice.
Oliver, very cool. Yeah, cute little kid. And
Yeah.
born on Thursday. What? Yeah, Thursday. So
Okay, that's wonderful. And hopefully the parents will be getting the message about all the things that little ones need to not be having anymore. So,
yeah, yeah. As a matter of fact, I do have also a 3-year-old and a 2-year-old
mm,
granddaughter and grandson too, and I'm dreading the public schools. We're trying to see what we can do to avoid that altogether, really, if we can.
yeah, and that's, that's something to look at. We don't, I think we should look at what the laws actually say now about public schools because parents do not have many options for schooling right now. And there's a big window for somebody who wanted to start something, whether that is some kind of pod school, they're like little local schools that if you are a good teacher, you could start a very small school in your home. You could have 5 or 6 kids come over and teach them X, Y, and Z.
Mhm.
That is that is a possibility. It's called a pod school,
Yeah.
nice little local option. And I'd love to
neighborhood
support
neighborhood
those.
neighborhood education,
Yeah,
from
yeah, yeah.
from people who are actually teachers and parents,
hmm
um
Or
that
parents could rotate through doing this.
yeah,
That's
absolutely.
that's another possibility. There's a lot of different possibilities on how to do this now. There's even like online options depending on the age of your child and what have you. And
The main thing is to get your kids out of the public schools. I mean, it's really
yeah,
a disaster what they're doing, especially with this transgender stuff. And
yeah, which
you
is
heard
still
about
out there.
what's going on in Fairfax County down in Virginia, where there's
Yeah.
continue to violate the law. And that one's in the news, but there's a lot of other districts, including here in
Oh,
Connecticut,
yeah, in
where it's
Connecticut,
still going on.
Simsbury is a big one. They've got they've got transgender stuff going on. I'm not
Yeah.
sure if but they just got, the Connecticut Sentinel just did a whole article on what the heck is going on in Simsbury. And I'm sure they're not the only one.
No, they're definitely not the only one. I'm sure Connecticut, that's what makes Connecticut one of the worst because, again, we're ignoring the Trump executive orders and policies, the common
Mm.
sense things. We're ignoring them, but somehow we're not getting all the publicity nationally like the other states like California, Illinois,
Yeah.
even
Yeah. I mean,
Massachusetts, New
yeah.
York are getting. Nobody's saying a word about Connecticut. Everybody knows Connecticut's a blue state. That's it. That's where it ends.
Yeah. It's like, yeah,
How often
I'd
does
like to
Fox News
see a
even
little more
mention?
national attention.
Yeah, when does Fox News even mention the state of Connecticut? Except
Yeah.
in passing every now and then.
Yeah. And it's
No,
frustrating because, my husband he's on Facebook and he talks and he's got a lot of liberal customers. And it's frustrating because no one that he talks to even has any idea what's going on in Connecticut.
right?
It's all national news because the local news doesn't fairly report what's going on in Connecticut.
No,
It's like little podcasts like us and Austin and the Connecticut Sentinel. We're writing about what's actually happening in Connecticut. But
right.
just about every other news source is like, nope, the government's paying us for advertising.
When it comes to mainstream media, Connecticut is still in 1985,
Well,
where we
there's
have our
that.
big three networks that are on the news. And even
Yeah.
Fox is out there, but Fox 61 is no. It's like we have.
Yeah, that's that. Yeah,
Yeah,
they're
it's right.
not
Fox
remotely
61 is like
conservative.
CNN. Like they're no better.
Yeah.
Fox on a national level is the media
Is
that
more is
we can
leans a
rely
little
on
more
to
to
be
the
at
right.
least more fair and balanced,
Yeah.
right? But at a state level, we don't have anything like that. There's no
No,
equivalent to that. Our
no,
Fox affiliate is no different than ABC, NBC, CBS, basically.
no. So the
So we're
people who
stuck
live,
in that
as
pre-paid
far
era.
as people live in Connecticut, a lot of them they have no awareness of local. Like, look, oh, everything's fine. Why problem? No, what problem? What are you talking about?
Oh, it's
Like
crazy. You're
completely
right.
right over the head.
Yeah,
No way.
an attorney friend of mine, one of my old clients, smartest guy too.
Hmm.
We got to talking, and it wasn't really political. We got into some of the things going on in Connecticut a little bit, and he had no idea what was going on. Absolutely no idea.
Yeah.
He's like, you know what he said? I went through this big argument about what's going on, all the problems in Connecticut. He's like, yeah. He said, but at least we have a balanced budget. That was his whole thing. We had a balanced budget. That was
Wow.
everything was
Like,
a
do you know
okay
how it
because of
got
that.
balanced, dude? Do you know how that even happened? Like, we took out a
Balanced on the
loan.
backs of the people, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
and for
there's a
people
lot
who
of
are
ignorance in these states.
actually relatively wealthy, the electric bills are like, oh, it's kind of a pain in the ass, but not that big of a deal.
That's why you should tell your friends and everybody about our podcast because as time goes on, it's going to grow in not only in stature but in size. We're going to Jay is still around. He was one of the original guys. We're talking about him before we get on. Those of you who've been following us from the beginning, Jay was one of the early podcasters with us.
Oh,
He's
this
going to be
was you
coming.
guys' idea.
Yeah, it was Jay and I that started this whole thing,
Oh,
right? And Jay's going to come back, and we're gonna have a podcast network, and we're gonna basically do what the local news hasn't done. We want to have
I do.
uh, really hit hard on every day stories that are happening in Connecticut on a daily basis,
Yeah.
just like
You know,
Channel 3 does, except not slanted.
right. And
you
I
know,
think, and I mean, it's even fine if it's slanted. We can say, yes, we're both conservatives and this is where we're coming from. And we're talking about it and you can see who we are. We're not being talking heads on a screen where
you know how the
move
left is
anything
always
but our faces.
yeah,
No.
right. You
Yeah.
know how the left is always changing words, like communism is a bad word, so they change it to,
Mm,
socialism, they change it to
right.
progressivism or whatever. So we should do some of that. Like, so conservatism is a great word, and I'm proud to be conservative, right? That's
Okay.
because, but it's really common. Conservatism is basically it's the right thing. It's common sense. So, like, it's, you know,
It's holding
any other
together
way, too much
civilization.
authority.
That's what it is.
Yeah, it's like let's call it, live and let live or something like what's supposed like something that's supposed to,
Maintenance. We're the maintenance crew
yeah, like by
because you have to
conservative, like
maintain this stuff.
it looks like a flag, it almost looks like a Bud Light Super Bowl football game or something where you have the marks or the left, the liberals on this side and the conservatives on this side, implying that there's some kind of moral equivalency, and there's
And there
that
is.
that yeah, two
Yeah.
football teams going at it, boom boom, more
Hmm.
conservatives, liberals. It makes it look like it's a fair
Yeah.
competition of some kind, and that they're both two good teams fighting. And that's not what we have here.
That's not.
Conservatism is basically America.
It is. And it's building things and creating
Americanism
things.
is conservatism, is it
Yeah.
not? That's
And
what the
what
country was founded on.
communism, the goal is tear everything down and then
That's what we
everything will
got to
be
start
magically
calling it.
perfect.
We got to start calling it Americanism
Oh, I like that.
because that's what it is.
That. I like Americanism.
Yeah,
That
Americanism. I mean,
is that.
it's the concepts of the Declaration of Independence in the
Yeah.
Constitution.
Yeah.
I'm gonna start calling
Constitution
it
is
that.
too.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
start calling it Americanism. You got to name this edition of this podcast Americanism on
Done.
Connecticut Common Sense. All right,
Done. We'll do that. We'll
all
do
right.
that.
Can I tell you a little story?
Yes, please.
Okay. Well, it's not a little story, but I saw on the news they were talking about actually on Fox and Friends the other day. Ben Stiller's daughter.
Hmm.
I forget what her first name is, but she did it. We know Trump did a speech to the UN. Benjamin Netanyahu did a speech to the UN, a very compelling one.
Oh,
Uh,
and everybody walked out.
well, a lot of people walked out. Not everybody, but a lot of
Not
people walked
everybody,
out.
but a lot of people walked
Yeah,
out. Go on.
all the terrorists that make up the United Nations walked out, and the people that were left were the ones that believe in freedom.
Right. So
So now
Ben
we know who
Stiller's
they
daughter.
are. I hope there's a good video of that so we can identify who the people that don't believe in human
Yep.
rights or freedom are
Yep.
and want to slaughter Jews, who those people are. So
Right.
let's identify who those people are so we can act accordingly.
Okay. So
But
Ben
somebody else made
Stiller's
a
daughter.
Ben Stiller's daughter also made a speech to the United Nations.
How did she get to make a speech at the
I
UN?
don't know. Yes, I do know because she's Ben Stiller's daughter.
Oh, wow. It's,
you know.
does she have some kind of a job? I don't know. Maybe we'll find out. We'll see if we can find that out.
Well,
I'm not
Ben
sure I
Stiller,
care that much.
Ben Stiller's daughter is very upset that we're not all still wearing masks right now. And her mask is she has this mat. She was wearing a mask, of course, during her speech, and it's
At the
oh,
UN.
at the UN. Yeah, it was called the G88. You know, remember the mask they came out with? It was called the G88 mask or something like that. It was supposed to be the
Yeah, yeah.
high tech mask or
N64.
whatever.
Uh, yeah.
Yeah, she thinks that we're crazy to ignore this technology. Uh, oh,
Wow.
sorry, it's not Ben Stiller. I was just told by one of my associates, Ben Affleck's daughter, not Ben Stiller. Sorry,
All
sorry,
right.
Ben. It's
You got the
Affleck's
wrong
daughter.
Ben.
I don't want to get it wrong. They're both Bens.
Yeah, don't get it wrong.
I
But
get
you
confused
corrected
between the two
yourself,
of
so
them.
that's good. That's good.
I
Correcting
corrected
yourself.
myself. Well, I was corrected. Ben Affleck.
Yes, but you corrected publicly.
My
So
apologies to Mr. Stiller.
Ben Affleck's daughter. We got it.
Okay, anyway, Ben Affleck's daughter. Um, maybe because I don't have my glasses on, it's screwing me up. Ben Affleck's daughter is the one that said basically it was a very, very passionate, very. She was scared, you know. And I got to ask
All
myself,
about the emotion.
yeah, she was saying not just the COVID, but all the viruses that are out in the world in general. You know, wasn't just it was basically this is the it for the rest of our like almost like if she's right, we better find another planet. You know,
Because nobody
she's
has
on
an
another
immune
planet
system.
already. My point
Humans
is
don't have immune systems. Nope.
she's
Nope.
on another planet already. But
Definitely.
she wholeheartely now here in 2025 believes in mandated mask wearing for everybody everywhere. You know, in any public place apparently. I don't know. You
Uh,
imagine
I unfortunately, yeah, I can.
you lived through it, right?
Yeah, yeah, we did. But just kind of on that same track of
She's either crazy
top-down
or
control, England is now imposing digital ID, and Denmark is going with digital currency. And this is something that this is how they want to control us. So this
digital
is
ID meaning.
like you don't get to do anything unless you have a digital ID. If you don't sign on to their digital ID, they will do what they just did in Vietnam, which is they will just shut down your access to your bank.
Oh,
Just did this in Vietnam. It was right around when Charlie Kirk got assassinated. I think it was the day before Vietnam. And I remember seeing Central
Vietnam
America.
imposed this. Vietnam imposed this. You mean?
Vietnam just did, I guess they went with I don't know whether they went with the
Are you
digital
talking about like
currency.
a digital ID, like a photo, like a card you're gonna have?
Yeah, yeah, it's like everybody's a number. Everybody's going to have a number
So
or a
it's a
barcode,
national ID. Like
actually. We
if it
get
was
our own
here, it would
little
be a national
barcode, a
ID.
QR
Okay.
code, or whatever the hell it is. And
Or
this
one of
is so
those.
they can, it's trackability. And this has been an issue from the time.
They'll know where you are everywhere you go.
Yeah, and this is like they're trying to close the door on us and get complete control over
Any
populations.
any chance of right, which would eliminate any chance of a revolution, say, if the people were not
Right,
being
because they
treated
can, yeah,
correctly.
because they can
Right.
cut off your resources like that, which is what they did.
England wants to do this in Denmark.
They've instituted. Keir Starmer did a speech about it yesterday.
They voted it in their parliament, or
I
just
don't know if they voted on it. What they did with Denmark was that the people said no. The people had said no, we do
of
not
course
want
not.
digital currency. And then their prime
Right?
minister went to the European Parliament and said, "Oh, sure, we're going to do this because my opinion matters."
Wow.
Yeah. So trackability is something that has been an issue throughout our entire, like, the course of civilization.
That's
This
why you
is
don't want
how
to get
we
the
ended
easy
up with last
pass.
names. This
Yeah.
is how we ended up with last names. This is how we ended up with street addresses.
Okay, that's
It's
interesting about the
trackability so that they could tax us.
very interesting about the last names.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a really good book on the subject, which I'll have to look it up because it's in
Because
my.
once you can track people, then you can prevent them from you know gathering and
Well,
assembling and
when it started
without
out, it was so that they could tax people, so they could make sure that everybody was paying
yeah.
their taxes. I mean, that was
It's a
that
lot
was.
deeper than that though. It's a lot
Oh
deeper.
yeah,
It's a lot
yeah. Well,
deeper
I
than
mean,
that.
this is like, that was kind of where it started, but yeah. So this is just the next step. It's just the next step because they want control.
That's why I don't have Easy
Want
Pass.
control, want as much as they can get.
That's why you don't want to get Easy Pass.
Too
Easy
late. I've had it for
Pass.
20 years.
Yeah, I don't use it. I pay more, but no
Yeah,
Easy.
yeah.
So because now anytime you're in your vehicle, they know where you're at.
Yeah, well, we'll see.
But
We'll
once they
see.
get it on your person, you see,
And that's where I
you
draw
know
the
what?
line. I
Ultimately,
was like,
but they'll take it. They'll keep taking it further and further because once they get everybody on the digital with the card, then it
well,
becomes the chip.
yeah, that's where I draw the
That's
line.
where it's going
We're not-
next.
Yeah,
They'll
that's right.
acquire they're gonna
I won't do the Apple Watch. I
they'll
won't do that
eventually
either.
no, I don't have those. They'll eventually require
Mm,
newborns to be chipped,
yeah, yeah,
and that's where they'll have total control.
yeah. And
So
that's what they're aiming for. That's
yeah,
exactly what they're aiming for.
well,
Does it maybe have
the
their
United
chips
States,
yet?
thankfully, the United States is nowhere near something like that right now.
Yeah, but we have to
However,
pay attention to
we
it
have to pay
because
attention to it, and we
yeah,
really, I think it's in our best interest to help fight Europe from this happening there too.
I agree.
Because again, it's a worldwide battle between freedom and oppression, and we don't want the battlefront to be shrunk down to just
Yeah, we don't want
the
to be the
United
last
States of
thing in the line.
America. We want a free world around us too,
Yeah,
allies and things.
yeah.
So, what's wrong with the European governments?
I think that I think because they do not have the Constitution, they don't have the right to own guns, which has been a big, big deterrent in this country. And they don't have a legal, like, they don't have a constitutional right to free speech.
So the leadership in Europe that was around, say, in the 80s and 90s, has been overrun with new leadership, right? With new, and influenced by the open border situation we had here in the United States was really bad, and
Mhm.
thankfully it's being brought under control now here.
Yeah,
But our immigration problem here pales in comparison to the immigration
the
problems in
European, yeah,
Europe that have gone over the last
absolutely.
10 years or so.
Yep.
Beyond, like it's just a lot worse. Like my understanding now is like there's even somebody arguing there may be even close to a Muslim majority in England right now
Yeah, that's
that can just
very
vote
scary.
themselves into Sharia law.
I'm worried about them, and
Yeah, yeah. So
I have a friend in Scotland, and she's utterly oblivious to it, completely oblivious.
everything Trump said the other day at the United States is 100 at the United Nations, excuse me, was 100% correct.
Yeah. And I love that they blew his monitor because it's like, oh, now you get to listen to me for 40 minutes instead
Yeah,
of
yeah.
20.
Now, yeah, this doesn't bother me at all. I can talk more from the heart now. He says that was great.
Right? It was awesome.
Yeah, it was. So everything they do backfires. Really, that's what the coolest thing about it. But we do need to fight this influence in our own country, which is also luckily we're in a way better shape than the rest of the world. But
Yeah.
we're still, and despite that, we're in a worse situation in our own history than we've been in, really.
Yeah.
And we have to fight these things on all fronts. And I mentioned earlier, George Bush after 9/11 was saying we have to fight it with money, we have to fight it with
Mhm.
military, we have to fight it with misinformation, we have to fight it with
Yeah.
technology. So we have to do the same thing here. And I'm really proud to see. I'm watching the reels on social media a little bit lately, and I'm really proud to see uh, there are a lot of little Charlie Kirks popping up
Yeah.
all over the place.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a pretty young girl now that's doing what Charlie's doing. It's not on the college campuses, but at the protest sites.
Uh-huh.
I'll have to get her
Okay.
name and give it to you so you can put it on there about
Okay.
on our post because she is terrific. I watched her for a little while this morning. She's going up to people picket signs and just asking them about the sign. Very polite
Uh-huh.
and just terrific. She's a very pretty young girl, so the
Mhm.
people don't want to push her around or anything like that. And
Right.
she just gets away with going in there and just talking. She's very sweet talking. And she's very articulate,
Uh-huh.
almost as good as Kirk the way she can talk. And
Oh, that's great.
more and more people like her need to come along and just and
Yeah.
start really talking of these issues directly to these people because some of them, I think, a lot of people on the left that are a little unhinged, that are on the wrong side or whatever, may be redeemable
I think
if you
so.
can reason with them enough and talk to them and get them to sort of think for themselves a little bit
Yeah. I
and come
think
aboard.
I think there
Some of
is
them
just a
are.
certain percentage of the population that's, you know, been
Yeah, they've
brainwashed,
been kind of brought into it a little bit, and you kind of wheel them
Yeah.
out gently. But there's
Yeah.
obviously the hardcore ones that we're gonna have to put in jail or something, whatever, or
Yeah, I
hopefully
don't
not
know.
fight
Yeah.
or whatever. But the ones that are fomenting everything, and then
Yeah.
the ones like the one that shot Charlie that are just bought into it so
Yeah.
deeply that it's become an obsession. I
Yeah.
actually would like to take a couple of minutes here to actually talk a little bit
Okay.
about the rhetoric because
Yeah.
this is really
Well,
the crux of the issue.
can we come back to that? Because
Let's do that.
I have a little piece of, so Pam Bondi, they've put together
Oh yeah.
Find the right they've put together a it's a task force that is the combination of the FBI, the DEA, the ATF, and the Marshal Service. And it's the Joint Terrorism Task Force. And they have already gone to Chicago where they're having, where there's protesters, because there's a lot of protesters at the ICE facilities. And they're not gonna put up with this nonsense anymore.
Mhm.
And I'm excited. And there's 200, they put together 200 groups of this. So I think they're just sending them out now.
Are they basically going to be a enforcement boots on the
Yeah,
ground group that's going to go out
yeah,
amongst these protesters and clean
yeah,
house,
yep,
basically take care of business?
yeah.
Because
So that's
these are not peaceful protests. They're not.
no, they're not. They're funded.
No, they're riots.
They're standing in front. I mean, they do the same thing all the time. All they're doing, they stand out in front, yeah, and they just wait for trucks to come out and stand in front of them and try and stop them.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, they're all doing the
And
same thing.
at the very
Clearly, they've got a
least, they throw
bridge.
rocks. They do a lot of worse
Yeah,
things in a lot of
yeah, they
cases.
do that. Yeah, yeah, and some of them have guns. Some of them are armed.
There's been shots fired. You know what happened in Dallas a few days ago, like this
Yes,
last week or
yep.
whatever?
And
Yeah.
they just arrested somebody, and I can't remember which city it was because now it's happening all over the place.
Yeah.
Then it's like, oh no, this particular protest was carrying. So it's like, gee, was
So
that
yeah,
a legal carry? So
like I said again, this is kind of what a civil war is starting to look like, and
and
what
hopefully it won't escalate to that point, and we'll
and it
just
won't as long as we take care of business now before it does escalate. We can't just hope it goes away. And
yeah.
I also want to mention, like,
Wars are expensive. Let's not do that.
no, right,
All
expensive,
right.
not just in money either,
Yeah,
a lot
in
more
all
than that.
sorts
So,
in all sorts of
but
ways.
it's a we know we've talked about the rhetoric that the Democrat
Mhm.
Congress, some of like Crockett and you know Booker,
Murphy,
Murphy,
Blumenthal,
Larson, even
Larson. Oh
Larson went
yeah,
off.
I've seen him all over my X
He's
feed.
insane. That guy's
They
insane.
do notice, the national level, we are getting attention, our representatives and senators
Oh yeah,
are
our
in fact
senators
getting
are.
national attention.
Yeah, we're getting that kind of attention.
Us, we
Yeah,
don't get the
we got
attention,
the
but they
biggest
do.
clowns.
That's something.
So okay,
But
but there's a lot of people on our side that have been that somebody said something on Gutfeld's show the other night. Actually, one of the people I admire, I think Gutfeld himself might be. What are we going to do to stop this? It's what they're doing is what they're saying is not illegal. So how are we going to? We're going to have to do this through convincing people otherwise, or whatever,
yeah,
right?
it
And my
has to be
contention,
like what Charlie Kirk's been doing.
but Mike, and I think that is
That's
largely the solution. However, I'm going to argue that some of the things, now a lot of it, when you call somebody Hitler, unfortunately, that's not illegal. It's
yeah,
sad, but
yeah,
it's not. But however, there are things that are being said that I believe are illegal because there
mhm,
is a limit to free speech. You can't yell fire in a crowded theater. And when
right,
you say this is war and we need to
right.
turn to the streets, like some of them, like I believe Larson said once,
Hmm.
or another white haired idiot like him, those things are actionable, and I think we should start looking at that. Pam Bondi should start looking at certain things like that. We can't. Most of what it's saying, unfortunately, is not illegal because
Right,
you can't limit free speech. But there are. We all know there are limits to free speech.
right.
And
Well,
saying this
I
is
think some
war
of
and we
that,
should take to the streets sounds like you're inciting a
yeah,
riot, and
yeah,
that is something you can't do,
yeah.
especially on television.
Mm-hmm.
And just getting back to Jimmy Kimmel for a second,
Okay.
Jimmy Kimmel does not have a Jimmy Kimmel has a right to free speech just like the rest of us, and he can say
Right.
whatever he wants, but he doesn't have a right to a network television show.
No,
Can we? I mean, doesn't that summarize the whole thing right there? Can we
right.
all just put that issue to bed?
Yeah.
I mean, this
Jimmy,
whole
Jimmy should just
how did he end up
go.
coming back?
He could go on YouTube right now and take all of his audience with him, whatever's left of it, because
Sure,
apparently he's down by 70%.
he got a good night the first night
70%.
back because everybody wanted to see what he was going to say.
Yeah,
He got 6 million that first night,
right. But
but
yeah,
then right back down to whatever he's 125,000, whatever he's getting.
yeah.
There's
So he
more
could, but
people in.
he could go on YouTube and actually try and, but see, that's the problem, is that these people are not, it's like Keith Olbermann, who's getting a ton of money. And
Yeah,
it's like, is he actually being paid to do what he's doing, or is he being paid to, is he being paid by, Soros we use Soros as this general thing, but there's a bunch of different bad actors there who are funding this, which
Right.
hopefully
These
they
networks.
should be going after them too, which they will be. They will
Well,
be.
these guys are hemorrhaging. These networks are hemorrhaging money with these terrible
Mhm.
shows, and they're
Yes.
being supplemented. And guys like Soros are supplementing these networks. They have to be because they wouldn't be able to take that kind of a loss otherwise.
Yeah, because that's, this
And
stuff.
they're yeah, and they're doing it for the sole purpose of propping up these sycophants,
Yeah,
essentially, to lie to the people.
right.
That can't be. That's not part of the
Yeah.
government does have regulation over the airwaves.
Yeah, we're gonna see,
That can't be
and maybe
tolerated.
maybe they'll end up getting some licenses pulled because, and I
It
think
should
if we can
be.
get back to, and it's going to be the Charlie Kirk Act, this, Smith-Mundt
Yeah. Okay.
was,
Interesting.
so Obama changed that. So it was supposed to be that the government was not supposed to be able to fund propaganda against its own people. That was
Yeah.
Smith-Mundt. Obama revised that. There was the revision and basically got at it. So, basically since Obama, we've been getting,
Did he pass that through Congress, or that was probably
no,
I
it
think
went
that?
through
Oh,
Congress
it
because remember
did.
he had a
He
Democrat
had a
Congress.
majority for a while
He
there,
had a
didn't he?
majority for a little
Oh, that
while.
was a disaster. I knew in 2008. I knew in
Yeah.
January of 2009 when he was inaugurated. I felt my stomach sink.
Um,
I
yeah.
felt a little. I just knew it was a bad day for America.
Yeah.
Not
I
because he
did
was
not vote for
black. Don't get
him.
me wrong. Nothing because he was black at all. Because
No, of course
I
not.
knew his policies were going to sink us.
Yeah, you know what? I guess I was optimistic, but I still didn't vote for him because
No,
at that point I was like, I had read his book and I'm like, you are talking. And that was, I had been voting Democrat for a long time. That election was the first
mhm,
election I did not vote
mhm.
Democrat, like, for a
Right.
long time.
Yeah.
And it's I had read his book and his book was like had all of this. It's like, oh, we want this and we want that, we want this other thing. And I was like, how are you gonna get there? And there
Yeah.
was not one thing in his book about policy. It
Hmm.
was all pie in the
Yeah.
sky,
It was all platitudes.
all platitudes.
Yeah, I
So
know.
I did
Same thing
not
with
vote for him.
Harris.
And yeah, so that was a big shock to some of my friends. So
And this guy Mondami is like in New York City is Obama on steroids on a city level.
yeah, I'm kind of hoping they can figure out some way to deport him or something. It's like that is going to be bad for Connecticut.
Yeah, it
He
is.
gets in.
How can we?
Although maybe it'll
How
make
can,
some Connecticut people wake up. Who the hell knows? But anyway, so back to Smith-Mundt. I'm sorry, I don't remember which congressperson or senator has put this forward, but they want to do they're going to call it the Charlie Kirk Act. And it's going to be about they're basically reinstituting Smith-Mundt, which
yeah,
is that
good.
they can't do propaganda against the US. The United States cannot fund propaganda against its own citizens.
Of course not. And, you're right. Exactly. Exactly what's happening.
Yeah.
That's probably the biggest thing that pushes us toward being another third world country and not the United States.
Hmm.
Because we all knew growing up that media was corrupt in all the other countries and people weren't learning the truth.
Yeah.
Whereas here we can at least rely on some semblance of truth,
Right.
but now that's been breached. That really truly has been breached.
Yeah. And
And
we were
again, the
talking about
license.
people being brainwashed earlier. And I
Mhm.
think there's two things going on with the people who are being brainwashed. Because the other thing that my husband runs into when he's talking to people, because he talks to everybody. My husband, you and he could like outtalk each other. So,
He's got the gift of gab going on.
oh my God. Yeah, yes, so much. And he's funny. He's really
Yeah.
funny. He tells jokes, but like he'll say, "Well, are you just getting all your information from the news?" And all of them are like any information that you get from the internet has to be BS. And I think what happened is that there's a certain point when the internet was coming in, and you'll remember that there were scams all over the place and there
Yep.
was a lot of nonsense and there wasn't a lot of reliable information. So there's a certain percentage of the population that has just been like they kind of like checked out at that point, and it's
Right.
like if it's on the internet, it must be nonsense, even though they will take information from Facebook.
That's crazy. Facebook is the internet. Hello.
Yeah, yeah. So, but this is like, and he's got one friend that's like, if it's not in the New York Times, it can't possibly be true. And we've got all sorts of fun things to say about the New York Times.
I think the problem is more about what's not reported more than what
Oh, yeah,
is.
absolutely.
You know what I
Absolutely.
mean?
But they aren't looking because they think everything on the internet is nonsense. So, and
Hmm.
I'm just theorizing about the psychology here. That's all. So,
Hmm.
yeah. I got a bachelor's in psychology, so I might as well use it a little bit.
I took a child psychology class as part of my one of the we had a series of electives. I chose child psychology
Mm-hmm.
back at community college days, and it's one of the classes that kind of I remember the most about. After even though I ended up being a history person instead, like I just remember so much about like one of the things was how the younger you are, the more intense the memories are of what happens to you.
Mm.
And it's true because all the way up to now in our older as we get older, something when things happen like things that happen today you don't retain as well as you did when you were younger. In other words, I remember all the bands from the '80s, but how many bands do I know from 2015? Like,
Right.
and I could tell you who won the World Series every year from 1975 right through 1990, 99 or whatever. But if you ask me who won 3 years ago, I'm like, oh, like I don't know. Right? I have to really
Yeah.
think about it. So it's the same, and as you get younger, that gets more intense. But what I didn't know is it continues to exponentially get more intense as you go into your infancy and your youngest days. So, in other words, what happens to you in the first 5 minutes of your life,
Mm.
it leaves a blueprint that
Mm.
5 years of your life when you're in your 30s couldn't.
Mm. Well, there's plenty of evidence, and I have this from my own life, is that if you have trauma, like very early in your life, you carry the
That's the
physiological,
worst.
it creates physiological scars
The younger you are,
yeah,
the more permanent it is, more imprinting into
embedded.
your brain it is because it's the
Yeah.
first moments of your life. And so even like to the point where what happens to you 10 days or 2 weeks after you come home as a 2-week-old baby,
Hmm.
it's already half as intense as what would have happened on day four.
Mm.
And as time goes by, it continues to get less and less. So what
Yeah.
happens to you when you're one?
Mm.
What happens to you when you're two? Is a
Right.
huge difference in terms of the kind of
Right. Well,
impact it has on you.
that's because if whatever happens to you is like that's your entire world.
You're becoming more insensitized essentially as you get
Yeah.
older, right down
Yeah.
from the
Yeah.
very
Because well,
moment, right?
we have more perspective as we
Right.
get older.
More data to work with,
Yeah, you have more data to work
even if
with.
it's
It's
the
like,
same
oh,
wall in your little
this
living
isn't
room.
necessarily a threat because I was, or I already lived through that. So it's like, oh, I can deal with that. So,
But governments are aware of this,
aha. Okay. Right.
which is why they're going after our
Our
preschool. That's why
children.
this mandatory school thing they want to do, like mandatory pre. I heard
Mm,
about mandatory pre-K. The
right.
sooner they can pull that kid out of the mother's care
Right.
into
Yeah.
their
Well,
own, the
that's
better.
what they're doing in Connecticut is they just instituted this pre-K
Now it's
program.
selective, but eventually they're going to
Right.
automate.
Yeah.
Guess
Yeah.
what?
Give it
That will
time.
happen. They'll be
Yeah.
talking
Give
about
it time.
that. Right. So that's the
Yeah.
kind of
So you
thing.
know what? We might be due for a constitutional convention
Yeah.
in the state.
On the
So,
state, for the state level.
yeah,
Yeah.
and that's like every 20 years that's actually written into the Constitution. So, we need some lawyers to stand up and participate in that so that we can have the right language.
Hmm.
And so far we haven't had a lot of lawyers who are willing to participate. So,
Yeah. I'd like to actually, earlier this year, it was earlier on when our movement started to really grow, we were looking for legal representation to help protect us against any kind of,
right,
and then we were actually, we had people that were, guys like John DeBarros and I,
mm,
helping to run for Congress and whatnot.
yeah,
And we had people in our own little circle that would talk about running for office, and we wanted to see what the rules around that were and have kind of
right.
legal protection around such a thing. And even lawyers that because of my line of work, I have 138 Connecticut lawyers on my, well,
Right.
128, about 10 from out of state, but 128 or so lawyers on my phone I could call by their first name. Hey, what's going on, Ray? How you doing? Some of them are lawyers that many of you probably heard of.
Mm,
Some of them are on billboards in Connecticut. Okay, but and I know who I don't. We never talk politics. We just talk about our work. But I
right.
get the flavor of what some of them might be all about based on some of the things they might have said. So at
Mm,
one point earlier last year, I took my top 20. I thought that may either I know are or
right.
maybe conservative enough to want to help, and thinking for sure I was going to get help.
Yeah.
Really, honestly. And I'm not naive about these things. I'm a cynic,
Right.
kind of, in a way.
Yeah,
I'm
we know
usually
that
very
about you.
skeptical about things, right?
Right.
But I'm more of a realist than a cynic, though. Like, if I
Mm.
think there's a rosy colored glass to look through, I will look through it.
Hmm.
And I do believe in people mostly are honest. I really do believe that.
Yep.
And I'll actually tell a new processor. I do subpoena service, as you guys know, all around the state. And people say, oh, they say that the person just lived their line, they're lying, they're lying. The truth is 95, 92% of them are telling the truth,
Hmm.
And so, but, so I went into this thing actually with a little bit of the rosy colored glasses thing, thinking, I'm sure I know I'll be able to, I wonder which one along the list will be the first one. They'll definitely want to help out, blah, blah, blah. I got zero. I got zero. I got two that seemed interested,
Mm.
and I only ended up with one who was at least willing to let me call him and ask him questions once in a while,
Uh,
but didn't want any kind of official um
right. So you have to
position at
ask
all.
what is in the way of that. And it's like
Lori Kavanaugh could tell us about that,
what's
right?
being I asked she probably could, assuming she's speaking to me 'cause she's speaking.
Oh, that's another topic.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's another.
because of Flynn, right?
Um, yeah,
Yeah, okay.
yeah, yeah. So, oh well.
Well, is what
I bear no ill will, and hopefully things will come back around. So,
they will.
yeah. So, but
But yeah, what the reason why is because of the level of
yeah, it's
corruption in the
the
judicial system in Connecticut, correct?
yeah, yeah, judicial system, the bar association,
Hmm.
if these people are like doctors being threatened by the bar association, oh, you can't say X, Y, or Z, or we will disbar you.
Yeah.
Which is what what the states do to doctors. It's like, oh, if you won't administer XYZ vaccines, or if you talk about ivermectin or you talk about hydroxychloroquine, then we will pull your license. And they do the same thing with therapists. It's like I can't tell anybody. It's like we can't even for these people who are like struggling psychologically with this, because a lot of them are. You can't even say go see a therapist because none of the therapists are reliable. I mean, we know of at least one.
But doesn't this fall under
We know of
freedom
at
of
least
speech?
one
Are we
that's
violating?
reliable, but the American Psychological Association is like they're, they have said that, for example, the trans thing is like, no, you're going to support the trans thing, or
You're gonna do this. You're gonna have this
yeah,
opinion. You're gonna.
yeah.
So, aren't these all restrictions on freedom of speech in some way as well?
Um, well, because it's a
I mean,
professional organization. Now, the licensure thing, I think that should be considered freedom of speech,
sure, of
especially for doctors, for God's sakes. And the fact
course,
that the doctors just bought into this is crazy.
yeah.
That's insane.
Doctors should be independent thinkers, shouldn't they be?
Well, what ended, do you remember when the HMOs came in?
I do remember the HMOs.
Yeah, and there came, it's like it's like how many doctors are actually just part of groups now? I mean, there used to be you used to go to your local doctor. When I grew up, mine happened to be we had an apartment and the downstairs was a doctor's office. That was my doctor.
Yeah, there's no independent family
There aren't.
doctors that just have their own little
They're
like
all like part of some kind of corporate entity where
are
they
for healthcare.
yeah, yeah,
Yep,
exactly.
some huge medical
Exactly.
conglomerate
Yeah.
where they're taught the same dribble.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's all, all of that because it's a business, they can totally bypass HIPAA because that's HIPAA is like yeah, seriously, this is from the interview I did with Kim. And she did, we went through the whole medical freedom stuff, and that all if you're in Hartford Healthcare, all of your information is all over the place. There, you don't have any medical privacy. So I'm going to reiterate what she said. Do not sign any scribble pads. If you have to go to the hospital, you don't sign any scribble pads, and they're going to be annoyed with you if you
Yeah,
do that. But there's in theory, you can opt out
yeah.
of all this information sharing.
Yeah, you don't have to tell them anything really other than your
But
ID.
HIPAA laws, the bypass for that is that if you're like a business as opposed to a private like as opposed to a private
regular
doctor,
person, then it doesn't apply.
then it doesn't apply.
Hey, you know what?
Exactly.
That works for the tax code too. Do you know that?
I did not know that, but I
Yeah,
guess
it
that makes
does.
sense. Okay.
Now, so when you get a letter from the IRS and they call you the taxpayer,
Hmm.
that's
Mm-hmm.
your they consider every taxpayer and citizen in America an entity, a business, a little tax. They call it the taxpayer entity.
Hmm.
And so, and as a taxpayer entity business, you're governed by the laws of the sea, not a law of the land. See, the
Yeah.
Constitution is the law of the land, but
Okay.
business law is merchant law.
Oh,
It's law of the
interesting.
sea, you see,
That's
and none of our
interesting.
constitutional rights apply under that, which
Oh,
is
that's
how
very
the IRS
interesting.
has us under their thumb and calls us the taxpayer, and
Oh,
that they treat us as a separate entity, as a corporate entity, which is how they get away with it, what they do.
very interesting.
Same thing.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So, you
you're
know
so
what?
everybody so even the regular waitress, working at the restaurant,
Hmm.
the regular everyday working brother and sister in Connecticut, little did you know you're actually your own business.
Surprise.
Yeah, surprise.
Yeah. Well, my husband's been self-employed his whole career pretty much. So
Well,
it's
by
like, so,
voluntary means, though, that's different. You start your own business because you decide to start your own business,
right.
not,
Yeah, that's a
not
whole
because
different
you're
ballgame.
labeled as one to take your rights away.
Yeah.
you
Yeah. It's
know.
like, yeah, it says, yeah, there's some sketchy stuff going on.
Oh yeah, it's bad. It's bad. So it's going to take a lot of unraveling. And I gotta tell you, if we're going to survive it, we need
Yep.
people like Donald Trump to be around after Donald Trump. We're
Yeah.
not going to see another Donald Trump, but we need like
He's got a
Vance,
pretty, yeah,
JD
like
Vance, man.
I like Vance a
I like
lot.
Vance a lot, but I
Yeah.
hope he's up for the task because he's our guy. And
Well,
we
I'm
need a
sure
couple
he
people
is.
around him like that too. Like,
Yeah.
um, there's Pam Bondi people like that. I would like to see Pam Bondi run for president someday.
Yeah.
Who
Well,
knows?
you know
But
what's
we need
beautiful about
got
this
to
particular
continue without Trump.
administration?
I guess Trump's not going to live forever.
No, no.
He's
And
70, what, 79 years old now?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, bless him. And I can tell you, he sleeps 5 hours a night.
yeah, he does. He's a
It's
he's a working.
crazy, and he sleeps 5 hours a night and then he's up and doing stuff again. Um, oh,
I kind of wonder, like, he's got it. Like, he must be really good at. I mean, he's doing so many things, and then
yeah.
also he's got to shut it all down and just I can't even imagine. How does he sleep? Like
I
usually you
don't
say, how do you sleep about people that are bad? But
know.
I'm saying about Trump, who's really good. How does the guy like wind it all down and fall asleep
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
well, and then
You
get
know
up and
what?
do it all over again?
It,
Like
it, it may
it's
be
amazing.
that
Never drank booze. Never,
huh?
did
Right,
drugs,
yeah,
anything.
yeah, that's that. I think that's big.
Part of
It's
it.
like, yeah, yeah. I'm sure that's part of it. He,
It's part of it.
drink, doesn't smoke.
No.
All of those things matter. His big indulgence is McDonald's hamburgers, so which will be
Yeah.
healthier soon.
Which
So
leads to the old
that's
adage that
good. That makes
everybody's
me
got to
happy.
have their. At least to the old adage that everybody's got to have their vice.
Yeah,
Big Mac. I'll take that.
I hearken back to the photograph of him on the plane with I think it was it
RFK.
was JD Vance and RFK.
Calvin
I
McDonald's.
can't remember who else was with them. Oh, it was
It was
Elon.
RFK and JD Vance and Elon.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
they're sitting at the table and RFK sitting there with this look on his face with hamburger.
Yeah. Yeah.
God, that was
That's
hilarious.
funny. Yeah, it was funny. Yeah, because he wants to clean it all up, and we're like, yeah.
I'm sure it's like, oh, you're gonna eat this. He's like, oh God.
I'm not against crappy food. I've never. This isn't
So
about. But it's just people should know what they're eating. That's
yeah.
the thing.
Yeah. And pick your moments.
Yeah.
Pick your moments. It's like it's not a treat is a treat. You don't have it, you don't eat it every day. If you're
But
eating
it's
it
like,
every day, it's not a treat.
here's the problem with it though.
Yeah.
They treat it food that. Here's the problem again. There's nothing wrong with food that's bad for you to eat if you want to eat it because that's part of freedom. However, they treat it like it's the thing to eat.
Oh, well,
Like
yeah, that's what
I
I mean.
guess what
It's
I'm
not a
like
treat. It's
if
it's
it
a
was my
staple.
if it was my world, if you went to a grocery store,
Mm,
you would see um all the best wholesome foods in the store, really. And then
mhm,
you go to then on one section you'd have, well, here's the raunchy meat section you can go into, like if you want, like now, like if you go to New Hampshire,
mm,
their liquor stores are in their grocery stores for the most part. You go in, they have their grocery store, but then they have this little section that you walk in, it's separate that has the liquor in it. So they do the same thing.
mhm.
Where all the processed candy and snacks are. Here's the
Right.
candy snack. So everybody knows it's like, okay, if you want it, there
Right.
it is.
It's like, yeah, put it in that
But
separate section.
here's the grocery store where the real food is. That's gonna
Right.
gonna nourish you, make you well. You
Right.
see? And over here is
Well,
this
any
candy section
grocery
just like
store could decide that that was how they were gonna set up. So maybe you'll give somebody an idea.
yeah. I mean, Whole Foods tries to do that. They have all supposedly Whole Foods in their store.
Yeah.
I've never really shopped there much. I've been in there a couple times. Whole
I'm in
Foods.
there a lot. They're expensive. There's a reason.
Yeah,
The
but
nickname of it is whole paycheck.
I don't like that.
If you
They
haven't
are
heard
very
that, yeah,
expensive.
it's whole paycheck. Uh,
But
yeah,
they have half my idea. They don't really have my whole idea, but they have half my
yeah,
idea kind of.
yeah. And it's, they don't, they do have, they generally do have a better quality. It's not that it's perfect because it's not.
No,
And,
hard to eat
but
real. It's hard to
is
find
there
real
such thing as
wholesome.
perfect?
It's
But
actually not easy to find real wholesome food to eat.
yeah.
There's not
Well, I
additives
mean,
in it.
you can do it.
Yeah,
There's
co-op, local
there's a,
co-ops.
I'm gonna do a little prop for one of the local stores in Connecticut. There's a Stone Garden Farms, which is they have a little shop right in, it's right in Shelton,
Yep.
right in Shelton, I think it's Shelton Center.
Okay.
And it's in what used to be an old health food store, and you can get pastured meat there.
Right in
Um,
downtown there,
yeah, it's
Shelton.
right. Yeah, it's right in the little
Yep.
center, this little center of town where the little church is.
Okay. I know what it is.
It's right across from the little church, and yeah, you can get pastured meat. You can get like local produce. They have other crap in
Yeah,
there.
but
They sell
real food
sodas.
that's not added all that crap
Yeah,
to it. That's the thing.
but they do have some really good stuff in there, and it's like it's farm raised stuff. And
Yep.
I used to do a cow share through them, but with just two of us, we don't do it anymore. For those that don't know, a cow share is when you literally purchase an entire cow that's been pastured, because
Yep.
it's better to have, pastured meat is more
Grass fed,
nutritious.
free roaming,
Grass
that kind
fed
of thing,
is more
right?
nutritious. It's
Yep.
just generally more healthy. It's gonna have more vitamins. And I used to do that all the time. And you buy a whole cow because you get a better price for the meat.
Yeah, for
And then you
volume
get,
discount essentially.
yeah, you're getting a discount. And
Mhm.
I would also get the bones, and I get, a lot of the stuff that people didn't necessarily want. Like I get a huge bag of bones, and I boil up, I boil broth, which is really beneficial.
Wow, that is some
And
serious paleo going on there.
oh yeah, well, no, I wasn't paleo. I was like,
Oh,
I call it traditional foods.
okay. Yeah, real foods like well,
Yeah,
that's for the western side of the state. I could give a plug to the Willimantic Food Co-op,
awesome.
downtown Willimantic on the eastern
Okay,
part of Connecticut, where they
okay.
sell a lot of it's very much the same along the lines of what you're saying.
Mhm.
They have a great produce section. Fruits and
Right,
vegetables are all organic and
right.
all locally grown, mostly all locally grown.
Hmm.
And they actually have raw cheese there and
Oh, neat. Cool.
yeah, a lot of great raw and pasteurized cheese, dairy products, raw milk,
Mm-hmm.
and just they have homemade. They make a lot of homemade foods. Salad, different kinds of salads. But the food
Nice.
is all without additives, without
Cool.
you and they have some section. They have it's like a grocery store, like a mini grocery store. I'm a
Nice.
member there. It's like a membership thing. You pay $20 for the
Yeah, it's
year.
a co-op. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it's a
co-ops
co-op.
are pretty
Yeah,
cool.
but it's
It's
fantastic.
it's kind of a pity that Connecticut doesn't have more of its own food culture.
Hmm.
We have lots of farmland in Connecticut, and
We do.
it's tough because of our damn state taxes. It's hard on the farmers.
Hmm.
And it's like we could have so much locally grown food in Connecticut. We have tons of open space. We really
Yeah,
do.
we do, especially in Litchfield and
And
whatnot.
it's not, it's like even if you're in Eastern Connecticut and you got a farm, it's not that hard to, drive to Western Connecticut to,
Hmm.
sell your stuff. We could have a lot more of that. Maine actually has an amazing food culture. There's like, I went to a restaurant with my cousin last night. All the food is local.
Hmm.
They
Great.
kale, meats, fish, whatever. And
Local food is
the
always going to be
lobster
better.
bisque, oh my God, it was to die for. So good. Yeah, it was,
Local food is always going to benefit you health wise
yeah,
better
yeah,
than
it's
just
gonna
simply
be
because
more
just the age factor alone, right?
exactly.
You know,
Exactly. Exactly. And
fresher food is always better for you. So,
it is. It is. And it's like we were talking about the hospitals earlier, and it's like, the best thing we can do is if you can stay out of the damn hospital. So I wanted to share this stuff that just, because this is from X. It's a Dr. Sabine Hazen, and she's been studying gut health and viruses. And she confirmed something. So I'm going to talk about the autism thing a little bit because
Oh, okay.
The administration just made these big announcements about autism
Yeah.
and that Tylenol is dangerous to be taking when you're pregnant.
Hmm.
And apparently there's this whole rash of women who are like, I'm pregnant and Trump stinks, so I'm going to take a big dose of Tylenol. This is not going well, just for the record. It's not going well. There's been a spike of pregnant women in the hospital because they took a big dose of Tylenol. And this is,
They're gonna turn around and blame that back on our RFK, right?
yes, yes. And because they're doing this because Trump is stupid. And so, Trump is just he's just saying what RFK has been saying. And I will add that this thing with autism. There is a doctor in England. Her name is Natasha Campbell McBride, and she's a neurologist. She's a
Yeah.
physician herself. She gave birth to an autist. Her child was autistic. She didn't really know why. She didn't go into the why of it, but she used gut healing the gut because what she found out is that children who are autistic have horrendous gut bacteria, like toxic, horrible gut bacteria.
Born with it or just have it?
Some of it they get from their mother because if the mother has bad gut bacteria, and what happens is that we're supposed to have like millions of different kinds of gut bacteria.
Okay.
I mean, gut bacteria is a thing and something you might want to consider looking into.
I'm aware of that. I'm aware of it. It's where the rubber meets the road in terms
It,
of
it really is. I
processing
mean,
nutrients and
it's
whatnot.
like 70% of our immune
It's
system.
how you. It's how it's. It to me. My understanding is that it has nothing to do with your what you're eating, but it has to do with how well you process what you are eating
Yeah, yeah, it's some
and
of
able
it.
to get the
But we
most out of it,
also,
right?
a lot of what we eat actually kills off our gut bacteria. Like, for example, if you're eating a lot of bread and it's not organic, it has been sprayed with the
Some terrible
glyphosate.
chemical.
It's been sprayed with glyphosate because they
Okay.
use it as a desiccant. So
If I don't know
if
the
you're
word, that
not eating
scares me to begin with.
organic bread, you are getting a nice big dose of glyphosate every time you eat. Glyphosate kills gut bacteria.
Hmm.
So, and all these gut bacteria have different functions in the body and emotionally. Like there's one, it's like L-reuteri, I think. And it's like it has to do with like I think it actually supports the production of serotonin. So there's these very
Help you
complex
sleep. Is there ways of like a supplement you could take to help replace that bacteria?
so here's the thing, supplements don't do a great job. And the problem is if you have bad bacteria in your gut, I'm going to come back to the autism thing, your gut will literally become there's all sorts of reasons why your intestines literally can become perforated. And so what happens is the stuff that's in your gut starts to leak into your bloodstream. This is how you develop allergies, to how you develop food allergies. It's very difficult. So what this woman was doing, and if you have bad bacteria in your gut, they're producing all kinds of toxins, and I mean nasty toxins. They are really nasty.
Hmm.
Um, so so what she did is she would put autistic children on this gut healing diet. And I'm not going to go into what it is, but it's not easy,
Tell me
especially
later. I'd like to know.
yeah. So she puts them on this gut healing diet, and then you slowly reintroduce foods and see what you're reactive to.
Yeah.
And it's very, it's things that are, you'd have to be careful about what it is, and there's a
Yeah.
lot of
Of
detail in
course.
it. But her son, who was autistic, and I'm not sure how severely autistic, but severely enough that he was like
That's
nonverbal and
required attention, right? Yeah.
yeah, required attention. He off to college, not testing on any autistic scale anymore.
Wow.
Yeah. So I mean, this is something
Interesting.
I've known about for 20
So
years.
there's a potential. What you're saying is that there's the potential there for
There
a
is
cure,
potential,
essentially, to
and I don't
autism.
know, it is very diet related, and I'm really happy that there's,
You are what you eat.
something that they've got that they can treat it with. But this woman who's doing this research just found basically the same thing, Dr. Sabine Hazan. And she basically just found the same thing. You know, she's been doing research with gut bacteria, and that this is a big factor in autism. And you know, it may be that the Tylenol kills off the mother's gut bacteria too. I don't know because you're supposed to.
I was told that the first time you take Tylenol in your life, that it kills some certain enzymes in your intestines and
It,
in your
that
gut,
could
in your
that
intestines
could
that you need to digest certain
what
foods.
that could be what's going on
And
here.
then once you take even one Tylenol, that it wipes that all out.
Yeah, yeah, and that could absolutely be what's going on here. You know, because it's not like, for example, if you look at the vaccines, and there's been, you know, plenty of concern over the last 20 years that vaccines cause autism, but they might also be a triggering factor. If you already have crappy gut bacteria, you're supposed to get your gut bacteria from your mother when you come out the birth canal. C-section, no gut bacteria.
Mhm.
Or if the mother has crappy gut bacteria, maybe because she's been taking Tylenol, I don't know, but
Maybe,
there's
yeah.
plenty of things that kill off your gut bacteria besides that.
Some people go quickly to Tylenol every time they feel a little uncomfortable. And they take
Right.
a lot of
So
that
I mean,
stuff.
that's just one piece of it. But if you as a mother have bad gut bacteria because of what you've been eating, and it is that simple because there's tons of things that we eat. It's like carrageenan is it's an emulsifant. It's in tons of things that will also kill your gut bacteria. I mean, I could generate a list if I go
Yeah,
back
I'm
and look.
sure. Yeah, this is only the tip of the iceberg in terms of
It's
the
the
crap
tip of the iceberg.
they put in our medicine and in our food.
Yeah. So if you get a bunch of vaccines, you get thimerosal dumped on top of that, that could be a trigger. So, you know, it's a very complex issue.
I have another theory about Tylenol, and it's based on my own personal experience. When I was
Hmm.
in my 20s and 30s, or really my whole as a child, 20s and 30s,
Hmm.
I would get headaches. I don't know if they were migraines or not, but they were headaches. I'd get them not that often, maybe once or twice a month, and but they would sometimes be really bad. And so I would take a Tylenol. If
Hmm.
Actually, at first it wasn't even that often. It was just maybe several times a year or whatever. And like anybody else, I get a headache. I take a
Right.
Tylenol, and then nothing could cure the headache except
Right.
sleep. Or if I took a Tylenol, sometimes it would dull it a little bit.
Right.
So I could sleep, right? So I would do that, and that would happen. But as time went on, by the time I was into my 30s, it seemed like it was happening a couple of times a month instead of,
Mhm. Right.
once. The frequency
Headaches are
continued to go
interesting.
up.
Yeah, they're a symptom. Yeah.
So so one time I decided to and I didn't like that I was taking more Tylenol. 'Cause I never liked the idea of taking Tylenol. It was a gut instinct from the beginning,
Right.
but it did seem to help a little bit. So I decided one day when I had one of my headaches, I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna not gonna take any more Tylenol for these headaches. I'm just gonna wing it,
Hmm.
just deal with it. And
Right.
I dealt with it, and then the next headache I did the same thing. I realized I could deal with it without the Tylenol. Well,
Hmm.
guess what? After about 6 months, I wasn't getting any headaches anymore.
Interesting.
And over the last 10 years,
Hmm.
I've had maybe two or three headaches. I
Hmm.
don't get them anymore. I just
Okay.
don't get them like I used to. And I'm wondering, does the Tylenol have something in it that brings back the headache so you keep buying the
That's
Tylenol?
it's an interesting question.
I don't know. That's only
It's a
my
legit
experience, but
question.
that's really strange how that all played out.
Yeah. Yeah, headaches are interesting.
Hmm.
I wanted to, because we are starting to head into the cold and flu season, I wanted to come back to this doctor.
Yeah.
So one of the things, so she's studying, so turns out she's studying vitamin C and vitamin D, and apparently these things boost a certain type of gut bacteria. It's called bifidobacteria.
Okay.
And bifidobacteria is also that's also has, and she connected that with autism too, and I can't remember exactly how. So it turns out microbes have specific nutritional needs, and bifidobacteria needs lots of vitamin C and vitamin D. And think of this, we as a culture are chronically low in vitamin D. And so that's
Can't get it
something
through. We don't get it through food generally, and
we
we don't spend enough
don't.
time outside
Yeah,
in the
and yeah,
sun.
yeah, especially because everybody's on the computer. Now, I'm going to add something to that. Vitamin D is something that's been finally coming up. And you know, the fact that everybody's low in it, it's like, oh my God, you know, it's low. Okay, check your vitamin D. Vitamin D is supposed to work synergistically with vitamin A. And
Which
one
you
of
get
the
from veggies mostly, right?
no, vitamin A. So vitamin A, there's this process in the body where you can take. beta carotene. Your body can take beta carotene and turn it into retinol, which is actual vitamin A.
Okay.
The problem with this is that everybody has a different conversion factor. It can be as much as 7 parts of beta carotene to make 1 part retinol. It can be as high as 32 parts of beta carotene to make. We don't know. We don't know
Okay.
what the conversion rate is. And I don't have any literature on, I don't even know if there is literature on how, whether or not there's any genetic component to that. So it's better to do retinol. And when you hear things like, oh, you get your vitamin A from vegetables, no, you do not. You get beta carotene from vegetables, and you have to have fat in order to make that conversion. If you're eating a low fat diet, you're probably low in vitamin A.
So how are you going to get, you can't get vitamin A through food then? You have to get it through,
There's like eating liver. Liver is high in vitamin A. A
I
lot of
can
the
deal with
stuff
liver,
that we
but
used to
not
get,
regularly.
like rich vitamin stuff, we don't eat anymore. A lot of it's
Right.
organ meat.
I see. I get it. Okay.
Yeah, a lot of it comes from organ meat or like small fish caught, like they used to be that they gave kids cod liver
Because we
oil.
used to hunt and eat the whole thing, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Exactly. So I mean, I take vitamin A supplements.
Okay.
It's just like we live in the world we live in, and it would be great if I could get this, from, dosing myself with, like, for example, herring has a lot
Hmm.
of vitamin A and vitamin D,
Okay.
sardines. So
Okay.
if
I like sardines. Sardines are good with saltines.
yeah, and they're actually a very, in terms of worrying about toxicity in your fish, sardines are very safe because they're
Yeah.
very low on the food chain.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, I get that. That's cool.
Yeah, so sardines are really good for you. Um, so
I'm gonna
anyway,
buy a
so
can of sardines today. That's it.
there you go. There you go.
She's not gonna like that, but
So this winter, consider if you can just take vitamin D and vitamin C. That's this woman's, studies have indicated that it's like this is, and I read a study years ago where there was a prisoner study and they were voluntary. They dosed the prisoners daily with 2,000 IUs of vitamin D, which really isn't that much. It's like that's a bare minimum. But statistically, they had fewer colds and flu. And
no,
it's
interesting.
like, yeah, so this is like if you're taking your vitamins, and I do not get colds. I haven't had, I
Yeah,
mean,
I don't get them. I don't
yeah.
get colds much either, not very often anyway.
Yeah. So, and the other thing is if the minute I get that scratchy throat, it's like I am pounding vitamin C, I'm pounding elderberry because
And
that's
then
a
you
very,
snuffs it out within a few hours or a day, right?
yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and it's done.
that's
Done.
great. That's
Done.
great.
Yeah, it's not
It's all
necessary to
about you are
roll
what you
around with
eat.
this.
You are what you eat. At
Yeah.
the end of the day. So another way is to get vitamin D, right? Is I
Yes.
understand if you just take 15 minutes out in the sun every day with
It doesn't
75% of your
work during the
body.
winter in our latitude.
No, huh? What's it got to
No.
be? It's like 50 degrees or more.
No, it's the latitude. It's between you can your body will generate vitamin D in our latitude. It's between May and it's like through the end of September. So we're getting into the time when
So,
you're
but,
not.
but that
Now
has to
there's
do with
good reasons to be outside because
it,
you're still doing the melatonin and
yeah.
melatonin's huge.
It has to do with the
Melatonin.
temperature, though, right? Like,
No, no, no.
no,
That's
just the time of year,
purely sunlight.
just where how high in the sky the sun is, essentially.
For vitamin D, it has to do with the angle of the sun
How
because
high? Yeah. Okay.
yeah, it has to do with the angle of
Interesting.
the sun. So when it's at a low angle, you're not getting the radiation that you need to produce
But
the
can you
vitamin.
get enough vitamin D if you regularly do the sun? Because I understand vitamin D carries pretty good. So if you get enough, can you carry you
Not
through the
during the
winter?
winter.
No.
Not
So
during
you
the
should
winter. Your
supplement in the
vitamin D
winter.
will drop during the
So
winter. They've
during the
done
summer
studies
months,
on
though, if you
this.
take 75% of your body and exposes to the sun for 15 to 30 minutes a day, that gives you the vitamin D that you need.
Not in the winter.
Not no, between May and September,
Yeah,
right?
between May and
Yeah.
September. Yeah, yeah. And or if you're out for a while, if you're
Right.
out for a while. And I need to get mine tested. I actually have a test and I just haven't organized it yet. Because I've been low, but I'm pretty good now. So I think I'm a better just because I feel better.
Hmm.
But yeah, so and ideally you take in some vitamin A too. So,
Yeah.
D and A, if you're getting out every day, I will actually take less vitamin D during the summer.
Yeah.
And vitamin D is also implicated in cancer, like low vitamin
As a
D
preventative, you mean?
as well as a
Having
preventative.
enough is helps prevent cancer.
Yeah. Well, it's the correlation is that everybody who has cancer has like their vitamin D is bottomed out.
I see.
So it's
So about your pH
there's a
balance with cancer.
relationship there.
I
There's a
understand that it's about your pH balance as well.
can
Your
yeah,
pH level,
I
if
don't know
you're,
much about that. I haven't read any
my
studies.
understanding is that cancer cells cannot thrive in a pH in a base pH balance in your body. It's when you have
Yeah, I don't
people who
know.
have cancer generally have an acidic pH balance.
I think I've heard that. But I haven't seen any studies on it. And the pH balance in the body is very, it's tough because it changes radically from day to day. So I think that pH thing may not be accurate.
I don't
So,
know.
and I haven't looked into it enough.
I used to test it for a while. I used to test myself on it. I
Right.
did it
But
like 6 times, and it always came out as the base. So I don't know.
yeah. So that's, and the other thing is with cancer, there's two different types of human bodies, and one of them heals very fast. And those are the ones that then there's people who tend to heal very slowly. And so that's probably why cancer runs in families, because if you have a genetic propensity to heal quickly, because then
Right,
the cells are growing faster. Because we all have
right,
cancers in our body, and also your immune system matters because your immune system, we all have wildly growing cells all the time.
right.
And your immune system's supposed to knock them out.
And most of the diseases are environmentally based. It's your
Yes.
susceptibility to those diseases that are genetically based, generally
Yes. Yeah.
speaking,
It's
right?
like where are your
Most,
weaknesses?
right,
It's a
right, right.
weakness,
We all
or
have it, so we're exposed to the same crap. It's just how your body deals with it. That's
right,
genetically based.
right. So yeah.
Anyway, are we there?
I think we're there. I
Been
think
a
we're
good
there.
show.
Yeah,
Been a
so
good
yeah, this was
show.
pretty fun.
Yeah, yeah, great. We're gonna have more guests coming up soon. We had Peter Lamache supposed to be on. You've been ghosted a couple times recently. We're not sure what's going on there,
Yeah,
but we'll get
yeah.
around to that.
I think we're up to 3 ghosts right
Three
now.
ghosts in the last. We had no ghosts, and then three ghosts in the last month.
Yeah.
So
So
probably just a weird coincidence. Let's hope so.
it's been a weird month,
It
admittedly.
has been a weird month, but we're gonna keep on plugging.
Absolutely.
All
All
right.
right, Connecticut. We will see you the beginning early next week.
See you next week. God bless Connecticut. God bless America.
God bless Connecticut. God bless America.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.